I'm Blaine, digital media specialist for Current Automotive, here with Seneca, one of our co-founders, and Joe DiMaggio, our director of customer experience. And we had a really great EV road trip yesterday. We went down to Normal, Illinois to check out the Rivian open house. They've got their factory down there, get to see their new EV adventure vehicles in the flesh. Super great time. And we took some of the cars we have here, including the Audi e-tron and the Jaguar I-Pace, down there to sort of put them through a road trip, see what they were like, and experience what electric fast charging is for non-Tesla vehicles. And we unfortunately had a little bit of a negative experience at the Electrify America fast chargers down there. And we just thought it would be great as advocates for electric vehicles to sit down and discuss what happened, what went wrong, and I guess what we would like to see Electrify America do, or what could be done better to help them support all of these cars that are going to be coming out that will be using their EV fast charging stations.
Definitely. Super fun trip, by the way, down to Normal to see the Rivian truck and SUV R1T and R1S. I really like the R1S, really cool looking, but my favorite part was the cooking pull-out on the truck from the gear tunnel. That was super fascinating to see, and can't wait to potentially use that one day. However, drove the e-tron down and the I-Pace back, and I think I like the I-Pace better for my sporting just personality.
Yeah, I love driving the I-Pace, but I think for like this particular trip, the quiet, the smoothness, the massaging seats of the e-tron are my cup of tea for this kind of drive. But love the I-Pace too.
Yeah.
And I think what was most interesting is, Seneca has like 9 years or 10 years of experience at Tesla, was road tripping in the Roadster before there was any high-powered charging in existence, right? Like stopping at trailer parks to charge the car. I did a road trip in a Model S in 2012 from Chicago to Indy before there was any superchargers also. So it's super interesting to fast forward this many years, do a road trip in a different brand's EV that requires a totally different network, and kind of see, where that infrastructure is, learn like what to expect, and hopefully help people to leverage that charging network too. And like you said, maybe give some feedback now before $6 billion is spent building out the rest of these charging stations, so that they can be a little bit better.
Yeah.
And pulling up to the stations was pretty cool. We were getting ready to take some pictures of these cars, pulling up to the station, get some social media action going on that. And that's about as long as it took for things to start going wrong. And it kind of started as soon as we got out and start to go pay for these things.
Yeah.
Mobile card readers weren't working, and we had issues with Amex.
Payment type, yeah. So my Electrify America app stated that it could use Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. Tried tapping my Apple Wallet Electrify America card, started the initiation process, and then just said error, charging not going to happen. I forget what the message said exactly, but you clarified it wasn't clear to me or anyone else that may use the station that it was the American Express card that was the issue.
Yeah.
So we had to make a phone call, got on with customer support. Very friendly, very nice, and knowledgeable. They clarified, oh, sorry, those are supposed to, the app and the station are supposed to not say American Express is accepted here.
Yeah. So. But yeah, the point being, it wasn't clear that it was because of the type of card. And I mean, I guess to be honest about it, it was on the payment processing, like the keypad, right, that you can stick a magnetic strip or a card into. So probably not Electrify America's technology, but still the vendor that they're choosing to have payment processing on their chargers. So that was kind of where we ran into the problem first. Phone call to customer support by trip, end up trying a personal credit card that's a different type, get the charging station working. But all in, that was probably 30 minutes from the point we first pulled up in the two cars to the point when the e-tron started charging successfully. Okay, so one car charging successfully, 3 other stations So we then tried to charge the I-Pace a couple stations down, and we're running into similar errors. And I don't know if Trip had to call back customer support or if he still had him on the phone, but we weren't trying the Amex. We knew we were going to get that error, but now we were getting a different error. And this time, again, not super clear what was wrong, but it seemed like the charger would start to initiate, and then we would get a different charger error within 2 seconds of power starting to flow to the I-Pace.
Yeah, no explanation.
But yeah, not super clear of what was wrong. So probably the next 15 minutes, we literally tried every station, all 4 stations with both cars over the course of time that we were there. And the other thing we learned that was super surprising to me was there are 4 stalls and 4 stations, but there are 2 cables in every stall. You would think that you can charge 8 cars in simultaneously. Not true. You can only charge 1 car at a time on each station. Yes, there are 2 cables, 2 plugs, but it will only power 1 car at a time. The purpose is supposed to be so you can reach a charge port on any car kind of at any angle. It's kind of strange to me. When you have a 350 kilowatt charging station in a car that only is going to take 150, you should be able to charge more than 1 car at a time, but that's what we learned. So yeah, fast forward, we finally realized that based on the errors we're getting from each charging station, we were only going to be able to charge 1 car at a time because only 1 station was working. So we basically had to leave the e-tron for a half hour, run inside, occupy some time, come back out, and then swap the I-Pace onto the only working charger in order to get enough range to continue on our trip.
Yeah, all in all, it took what we thought was going to be a maybe 30-minute stop that we hoped would be pretty painless, and we'd be like, yeah, EV road trips,
right.
Fast, easy, great. Made it a little bit more complicated than that, and we probably wound up spending maybe an hour stopped. Not that long in the grand scheme of things, compared to where EV charging technology was even 10 years ago.
Yep.
Awesome, but not as smooth as we'd like it to be.
I think the e-tron was charging for maybe 20 minutes max. At the 150 kilowatt maximum level the station indicated it could do, which was fantastic. And that got the charge level to a point where I think you guys made it back here with plenty to spare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the e-tron's range indicator, I think, is very conservative, by the way. It is capable of more than it says. Whereas the Jaguar, we learned max charging capacity is 100 kilowatts in certain situations. It was only taking 83 kilowatts.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that to a point of showing about 20 miles, 30 miles to spare when we left. And made it back with about 10 miles to spare.
Rotating back on the stations, there's just a couple of sort of odd design choices, at least that I found. Maybe you two will have thoughts on it. First one I thought was that, and this is something that a lot of people will say online about Electrify America, is that the card readers are kind of unreliable. Maybe everybody uses Amex, and that's what it comes from, but people are used to just swiping their car, or at least transitioning from gas to electric. People are used to just swiping their card, pumping gas, moving on.
Right.
And
one of the stations, the reason you couldn't use it is the card reader itself said network error on it, which took down the whole station.
Yeah.
If there was a way where you could log on through the screen to your account and say, I'm here with my car and I want to charge, initiate, without having to go through the card reader, and then it takes your card from your account, that would have probably been a great solution for that moment in time.
A direct link to Electrify America that doesn't use a payment processor whatsoever.
Yeah.
another one is, sort of as you're encountering these errors, you're kind of, in order to start a charging session with Electrify America, you have to unplug the charger and plug it into your car. And that'll start everything on screen. So far, so good. But if anything goes wrong, you have to unplug entirely, plug back into the station to reset it, and then you have to unplug and plug it back into the car. These cables were a little heavy too, and so as you're trying to work out the solution, it becomes a little bit of an annoyance to unplug, plug in, unplug, plug in, back and forth, back and forth.
Workout in yesterday. No, that seemed a little weird to me. There should be a reset button so you don't have to unplug from the car. There might be something to that we don't fully understand, but it just seems like you could potentially push a button on the station to reset it, and as long as it senses that it's plugged into a car, should be able to initiate another charging session.
Yeah.
I liked your joke about would you like regular or premium electricity or the two cables.
Well, what did the message on the payment processing thing say when you put the card in? It said it said select your product or choose your product.
That's right.
When you put your credit card in.
Yeah, so because Electrify America has, I want to say you can either be a Pass member or a Pass Plus, or you're selecting a charging rate, 0 to 50 kilowatts, and there's like a lower charge for that versus 50 kilowatt hours and up.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
A little bit of a higher charge per minute.
Mm-hmm.
I will say there's a lot of interest in electric cars by the general public. A lot of manufacturers are headed this direction. And this experience yesterday really showed that, especially coming from Tesla, this is sort of a good effort, but it's a little bit of a stumble.
Yeah.
Simple is better. Has to be simplified, in my opinion, in order to get mass adoption for this technology.
Yeah. Now Tesla, of course, with their superchargers, they have the advantage of, your Tesla account is linked to your car knows it's being supercharged, and they can just bill your account. They don't need to worry about payment methods or payment processing there. It's done somewhere else. But no other manufacturer is going to have that advantage. And so you kind of need to land on some sort of simple way.
I think that's partly true. You are right. That is partly true. But at the end of the day, who is behind Electrify America? Volkswagen. And we were driving an Audi product, a Volkswagen product. So yeah, they may not be able to do that if I'm pulling up with a Chevy Spark or a Kia Soul or I would say Volkswagen e-Golf, but you could. But for their own product, theoretically, they could have it vertically integrated, so you don't have to use a separate payment processor at point of sale.
A la Tesla.
Exactly like Tesla does it, yeah.
Interesting thought. We should try another fast charging station provider and maybe compare notes on another discussion like this as well.
Well, and I think we also need to try Electrify America again. So today I signed up for an account, I preloaded some money in there, so we'll try it. I presume that's as intended, right? You have a card, you have a membership, you add money, and that's how they want you to use it. But first time, right, we needed to put in credit card and do it a more traditional way. So we need to try it that way also. And Seneca, I think you're right, we'll try another station. But definitely some interesting takeaways from the first charging session.
Yeah. Something I think is important to mention is that where a lot of other other networks have built out, focused almost entirely on urban centers, Electrify America has gone straight for the highways, America's arteries, how people get around the country. And they've made it very clear in their plans. They're building stations every 70, 80, or 120 miles along the highway, much like Tesla did when they were building out their superchargers. And that's the kind of build out that's actually necessary to support EVs on road trips. They have to be on highways.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The easy thing to do is to build charging where people ask for, or to put it in urban metropolitan areas, because people want to know, well, where am I going to charge it, right? The reality is you're charging at home. And that has to be the response, and that has to be what we're teaching people, is you're charging at home is your primary charging method. And that's why Tesla didn't do urban chargers until very late in the supercharger game. Everything was to connect interstates, to connect your journey across the country, and was built for the lowest range Tesla, originally 150 miles apart from supercharger to supercharger to support the 60 kilowatt hour car. It is good to see that Electrify America understands that fast charging is not for everyday use. It's not for urban areas. It is to connect your destination from point A to B and all along the way.
Yeah.
And like Tesla, they supplemented the supercharger network with destination chargers.
Yep.
And that's where you would use, for example, a charger across the street or at a hotel, just a standard level 2 charger and top off overnight.
Yeah. So we love Electrify America. We think that they've got definitely the right idea, but there's just a few sort of pain points that I think that they really need to work on improving before they really reach mass market buy-in, consumer convenience. Right now it very much feels like we're beta testers.
Yeah, and look, nothing is perfect in its first iteration. And this kind of feedback from customers, Tesla listened to everybody and improved the car over the years. Same thing can happen to the charging network that Electrify America puts out, or any charging network. Listen to consumers. They'll tell you their pain points. Make it better.
Yeah, we just hope they can be agile and make some changes quickly before too many stations are built with the potential for similar problems.
Yep, the e-tron's out now. The Taycan's coming out next year. The Rivians are coming out next year. And these are some of the stations that people are going to first experience EV road trip fast charging on. And we want everybody's first impressions to be a little bit better than ours were.
Totally.